The containment doors slammed shut with a sound that made Vrakk's 3 hearts skip in unison. Red lights flooded the observation deck, spinning so fast they threatened to give him a migraine. Or was that 4 migraines? He could never remember which of his brain lobes handled the counting. Full lockdown initiated, squealed Plinks from the sensor array, her tendrils flailing with panic. Biological threat level 9. No, wait. 10. It's a 10. Vrakk pressed his face against the reinforced viewing glass, staring down at the quarantine chamber below. The human male, designation Marcus Webb, was sitting on the provided bench. Just sitting there, calm as the void itself. What is he doing? Vrakk whispered. Sensors indicate elevated temperature readings from the dorsal region, announced Thorpe, the station's security chief. His mandibles clicked nervously. Chemical signatures suggest, oh gods, pre-attack pheromones? Marcus yawned. Actually yawned. Then he reached one arm up and over his shoulder, fingers scratching at his upper back. Every alarm in the facility screamed louder. Defensive posture detected. Plinks shrieked. He's preparing to shed his outer layer. No, 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 Vrakk muttered, pulling up the human database on his console. His claws fumbled across the controls. This cannot be happening. Not today. Not on my shift. The scratching continued. Marcus's fingers moved in small circles, working across his shoulder blade. Should we evacuate the station? Thorpe asked, backing toward the emergency exit. My training never covered this scenario. Nobody's training covered humans. Vrakk snapped back. They've only been in the galactic community for 3 cycles. The temperature sensors flickered again. Marcus had closed his eyes now, a look of what the database called contentment crossing his face. His scratching intensified. He's entering a trance state, Plinks announced, her voice climbing 3 octaves higher than normal. This must be how they prepare for combat. Vrakk scrolled frantically through the human information files. Eating habits, horrifying. Immune system, impossible. Pain tolerance, ridiculous. Sleep requirements, laughably low. None of this was helping. Why is his skin moving like that? Thorpe asked, pointing at the screen showing thermal imaging. Is he molting? Humans don't molt, Vrakk said, though his confidence was evaporating faster than water on a sunside landing pad. At least, I don't think they molt. The file says they shed skin cells constantly, but, constantly? Plinks interrupted. They're always shedding? That's disgusting. That's a biological weapon. Marcus shifted his weight, angled his shoulder forward, and really went to work on whatever spot was bothering him. His face showed pure relief. Look at that expression, Thorpe said, backing up another step. That's the face of a predator who's found prey. No, Vrakk said slowly, watching the human's body language. No, I think that's the face of someone who's comfortable. Comfortable. Plinks's tendrils went rigid. How can anyone be comfortable while triggering every safety system on a Class 7 station? The scratching moved lower, between the shoulder blades now. Marcus twisted slightly, trying to reach a particularly stubborn spot. He grunted with effort. He's vocalizing. Thorpe grabbed his communication device. I'm calling reinforcements. Wait. Vrakk held up a claw. Something was starting to make sense. Sort of. In the way that human behavior could ever make sense, which was not very much at all. Pull up the recording from when he first entered the chamber. Plinks tapped her console. The video rewound, showing Marcus walking into the quarantine room 30 minutes earlier. He'd been assigned there for standard decontamination after visiting the methane section of the station. Routine procedure, but then Vrakk saw it. The moment Marcus had first reached for his back, the slight grimace that crossed his face. He's injured, Vrakk said. Injured. Thorpe leaned in. The sensors showed no wounds. No blood. No. Not injured like we'd be injured, Vrakk clarified, pulling up another human database entry. Look here. It says humans experience something called itching, a skin irritation that requires physical contact to relieve. Skin irritation? Plinks said flatly. We've locked down an entire station because of skin irritation? Well, Vrakk said defensively. How are we supposed to know? The sensors detected temperature changes, unusual chemical releases, and repetitive aggressive physical contact. Those are all signs of an explosion of static cut through the room as the intercom crackled to life. Hello. Marcus's voice echoed through the speakers. He'd found the communication panel. Is anyone there? I think there's been some kind of mistake. Your decon chamber gave me a rash or something. Really itchy. Could I maybe get some cream? Or just, something to scratch my back properly? Can't quite reach the spot. The three aliens stared at each other. Did he just, Thorpe began slowly, ask for assistance with scratching? Vrakk slumped in his chair. This is going to be so much paperwork. Wait, Plink said, her voice suddenly sharp. If this isn't a threat, then what happens when humans actually do become threatening? Through the glass, Marcus had found the corner of the bench. He backed up against it, using the edge to scratch that unreachable spot between his shoulder blades. The look of absolute bliss on his face somehow made everything worse. Vrakk pulled up the incident report form and began typing with trembling claws. Today was definitely not his day. Marcus finally stopped scratching and looked up at the observation window. He waved. Actually waved, like he was greeting friends at a social gathering instead of being surrounded by armed containment protocols and enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. So, his voice crackled through the intercom again. Are we good here? Because I've got a meeting with the trade delegation in like 20 minutes, and I really should shower first. This Deccan gel you guys use is making my skin crawl. Literally. Vrakk's translator chip struggled with the phrase making my skin crawl. It offered several options, none of them comforting. Dermal migration? Epidermis rebellion? Skin becoming sentient and attempting escape. He says his skin is crawling. Plink whimpered. It's mobile. The human has mobile skin. It's an expression. Vrakk snapped, though he wasn't entirely certain. With humans, you could never be entirely certain. Thorpe shut down the alarms. All of them. Now. But protocol states a lot of things that don't account for humans scratching themselves. Vrakk pushed himself up from his chair. I'm going down there. You're what? Both Plinks and Thorpe spoke in unison, their voices hitting a harmony of disbelief. Someone has to explain this situation, and since I'm the station liaison, that someone is me. Vrakk straightened his uniform tunic, trying to look more confident than he felt. Besides, look at him. Does he seem dangerous right now? They all looked. Marcus had discovered that the bench was actually quite good for back scratching. He was wiggling against it like what was that earth creature? A bear. Yes, like a bear against a tree. The human database had included nature videos. Vrakk wished it hadn't. He looks ridiculous, Thorpe admitted. Exactly. Vrakk headed for the door. Stand down the lockdown. I'll handle this. The walk to the quarantine chamber felt longer than it should have. Every step gave Vrakk more time to question his decision. Humans could bite through bone. Humans could survive vacuum exposure for almost 90 seconds. Humans thought recreational poison consumption was fun. They called it coffee. But when the chamber door opened and Marcus looked up with that sheepish expression, Vrakk felt his panic ease slightly. Slightly. Hey, Marcus said, standing up quickly. Too quickly. Vrakk flinched. Sorry about whatever just happened. Did I break something? I heard a lot of alarms. You didn't break anything, Vrakk said carefully, staying near the door. Just in case. You triggered our biological threat detection systems. Multiple times. Very, very intensely. Marcus blinked. Then his face did that thing human faces did when they found something amusing. It crinkled around the eyes. The database called it a smile, but it showed teeth, which was objectively terrifying no matter what the cultural context claimed. Because I was scratching my back. We didn't know you were scratching your back, Vrakk said, his voice climbing higher than he intended. We thought you were preparing for combat, or molting, or releasing attack pheromones. The sensors couldn't tell the difference. Attack pheromones. Marcus said it slowly, like he was tasting the words. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoed off the containment walls, making Vrakk's ear frills flatten against his skull. Okay, that's actually pretty funny. Your sensors thought my sweat was hostile. Human perspiration contains over 200 chemical compounds, several of which match known toxin profiles. Vrakk protested. How are we supposed to know the difference between attack hormones and normal secretions? Fair point, Marcus conceded, rubbing the back of his neck. Your Deccan gel really did a number on me, though. What's in that stuff? It feels like tiny insects are having a dance party on my spine. Tiny insects having a dance party. Vrakk made a mental note to add that to the human expressions file. Assuming he survived this encounter to file anything. The gel is designed to neutralize carbon-based contaminants, Vrakk explained. It's completely safe for most species. Causes mild tingling at most. Well, for humans it causes industrial-grade itching. Marcus twisted his arm behind his back again, trying to reach that spot. Seriously, is there any chance I could get some help here? Maybe a back scratcher? Do you guys have back scratchers? Please tell me back scratchers are a universal constant. Vrakk stared at this human. This creature that could punch through steel plating and survive planetary reentry was begging for assistance with a minor skin irritation. The absurdity of it hit him all at once. We put the entire station on lockdown, Vrakk said quietly. Evacuated 3 sectors. Nearly triggered the emergency protocols that would have sealed this chamber and vented it into space. Because your back itched. Marcus had the decency to look embarrassed. Yeah, sorry about that. In my defense, you guys should probably calibrate your sensors better. Human biology is weird, I know, but most of what we do isn't actually threatening. Most of it. Most. Vrakk's voice cracked. Well, yeah. I mean, you probably should keep the alarms for when we're actually doing something dangerous. Marcus grinned again. More teeth. Why so many teeth? Trust me, you'll know the difference. When a human is actually ready to fight, we don't just scratch ourselves. We get loud about it. Somewhere above them, Plinks and Thorpe were probably having simultaneous panic attacks. Vrakk couldn't blame them. He was considering one himself. The trade meeting, Vrakk said, changing the subject desperately. Right. You're clear to go. I'll have medical send some anti-itch cream to your quarters. And Marcus? Yeah. Perhaps use your own decontamination supplies next time? Marcus laughed again, that booming sound that made Vrakk's bones vibrate. Deal. And hey, thanks for not actually venting me into space. I appreciate that. As Marcus walked out, still occasionally reaching back to scratch that persistent itch, Vrakk stood alone in the quarantine chamber. His communicator buzzed. Plinks's voice came through, shaky but curious. So what did we learn today? Vrakk looked up at the observation window, at all those sensors and alarms and protective measures that had been utterly useless at understanding something as simple as a human with an itchy back. We learned, Vrakk said slowly, that we need better training. Much better training. And possibly hazard pay. Definitely hazard pay. Above him, the lights finally stopped flashing red. The alarms fell silent. And somewhere in the station, a human was probably still scratching his back, completely unaware that he'd just triggered the most embarrassing security incident in galactic history. Vrakk began composing his report. This was going to take a while.